Friends, in the last episode of our popular awareness series on the issue of communalism, we had seen the changes which were brought in because of the British coming here. We also saw the role of Mahatma Gandhi and the other forces which later on went on to be the part of Indian nationalism. Now first we must also talk a bit about the formation of Indian National Congress. As I pointed out, because of the British coming, there were a lot of changes, and because of that there were formation of many associations. Now what were these associations? These associations were formed by those people who were educated in the modern system of education, those people who were partly trying to participate in the industrial and other development of the country, and those who were the leaders of social changes, economic changes taking place at that time. There were many of these organizations. I will just name some of that, like Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, Bombay Association, Madras Mahajan Sabha. These were some of the organizations which were very prominent. Such over 200 organizations met in Calcutta in 1883. Why they met in Calcutta? To articulate that as to what problems they face in the changing scenario, how they can take further the industrialization, deepening of education, and the changes which are needed for the modern democracy. So for this they came to the conclusion that we need a type of political organization which can reach their demands to the British government. So this is occurring from the sides of these organizations which came up during the British rule, and these were the organizations who were rooted in Indian people. These were the organizations who were trying to express the ideology of the rising classes in India. Now these, at the same time, from British side, Alan Octavio Hume, he was watching there is a sort of a restlessness in the society, and he felt that there should be some organization which articulates the needs of Indian people, and that will act as a diffusing point. So please see here, there are two separate goals. On one side there are Indian associations who are trying to form an organization so that they can articulate their demands, and on the other side there is a British officer who's trying to see that the situation should not explode. So these two things combine, and Indian National Congress comes into being in 1885. So some people attribute that it was a formation of the British, but that is half truth. The real truth is that the associations being formed in India used the Congress as a lightning conductor to reach their voice to the British. So far so good. Now this Congress was founded on broad principles cutting across the religious lines. Its membership was open to people of all religions, and if you see the list of Congress presidents, it ranges from a Parsi, a Muslim, a Hindu, and all those sort of people like Surendranath Banerjee, W.C. Banerjee, then Dadabhai Naoroji, and so many such tall luminaries. They became the president of Congress. Now this Congress, as it was formed, it tried to articulate three major needs of Indian people. What were these three major needs? Number one, that British should start the examination of ICS in different cities of India, so that Indian boys can also compete for ICS exam. There should be a bigger participation of Indian youth in the Indian civil service. Number one. Number two, there is a demand that more facilities should be provided to industrialists, and number three, that there should be some sort of a restriction on the land holding so that labor is released and it comes to work as a industrial labor force. Now, so this was the foundation around which Congress kept on mobilizing more people, from different sections of society. Now, as this came up, the declining sections, the Rajas, Nawabs, Zamidar, Jagirdar, Muslim landlord, Muslim king, Hindu king, they felt very uncomfortable because they were seeing that the changes which are occurring in India, because of that, the number one, caste system is being shaken. Number two, Dalits are being educated. We'll look at it, come back to this a bit later also, that women are also getting educated. So these social changes in a way felt them threatened. They felt threatened because of these changes, and they started articulating different type of a thing. One was, firstly, Hindu kings, Hindu landlords, Muslim landlords came together and formed an association called United India Patriotic Association. Now this association pledged its loyalty to British and said that because of the activities of Congress, the loyalty of the people of India to the British Crown is decreasing, so it is our duty to increase this loyalty to the British government. So this was their major thing. But later on, of course, this United India Patriotic Association, within this there were Muslim communal elements also, Hindu communal elements also. But one thing is clear, that they were not interested in the social, economic, political, educational changes which were taking place in India. Number one. Number two, they felt threatened that the privileges of kings, the rights of the feudal classes will decline. So this was their main thing, and for this Nawab of Dhaka on one side and Raja of Kashi, Shiv Prasad, on the other side, they had been major leaders of this. Now this association was consciously broken when in 1906 Lord Minto invited some of the Muslim landlords and kings to come and meet him in Shimla in 1906. So Lord Minto, the Viceroy of India, told this Muslim delegation of the landlords and the kings who were Muslims that you are the representatives of Muslims of India. Now see the contradiction here, how he is trying to play the dividing politics. Kings and landlords, they are not representative of the people. They are the self-appointed, because of inheritance, they are holding such a position which is attributed to a divine right. Now, so this delegation put forward some demands like more representation of Muslims, partition of Bengal, etc., which Lord Minto accepted without any hesitation. And that led to the formation of Muslim League in 1906. Now with this Muslim delegation, Lady Minto, very interestingly, Lord Minto's wife, Lady Minto writes to the British authorities that today my husband has played a role because of which the British Empire will continue to rule in India for a longer time. Now meanwhile, in around 1888, Hindu communal elements within United India Patriotic Association, they were also watching. They were also saying that Muslims are aliens and India should be converted into Aryavrat, throwing these people out. Now the first formation of this Hindu communalism in formal sense comes up in 1909 as Punjab Hindu Sabha. Now this led to the formation of Hindu Mahasabha in 1915. Now till that time, in the beginning, these organizations had only the elements from feudal classes, I mean the landlords and the kings. Now so we see here the formation of Muslim League, we see here the formation of Hindu Mahasabha, and Hindu Mahasabha, this ideology later, where we will talk Savarkar in the next episode also, but here we see a bit of Savarkar, who when he got released from Andaman jails of British, he was a changed person. He was a changed person. From an anti-British revolutionary, he turned to somebody who was subordinate to British, who wanted to fulfill British role, he felt. And he articulated that in India there are two nations, Muslim nation and a Hindu nation, and Hindu nation has the primacy. Hindu nation is primary, the Muslim nation is subordinate and marginal. And he also came forward to talk about Hindutva, Hindu Rashtra, and based on this ideology in 1925 another organization, which again we will see in detail in the next episode, that is RSS, came to be formed in 1925. Now what is happening to the freedom movement? Now here magic of Gandhi leads to the 3 or 4 major mass movements. Mahatma Gandhi, unlike his predecessors in Congress who believed in writing petitions to the British, Mahatma Gandhi, he involved average people into the anti-British struggle, and his involvement was on the basis of democracy. Congress membership was open to all the people, those who can pay small subscription, and the tools, the vehicle of this movement, which became very famous later on, it was non-violence and satyagraha. Non-violence, ahimsa, satyagraha, invocation for truth. On these two he founded mass movements in India. And I must say 1920 non-cooperation movement was the largest, it was one of the major movements which arose the feeling of Indianness in India. Later on, of course, in 1930 he went for civil disobedience movement. Then one of the major movements which he took was the salt satyagraha, the agitation for making salt. And of course the series goes on, the last major being Quit India movement in 1942. So there are some controversies. Before we talk about how partition took place, I must say that after 1920, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who when he came from British initially joined Congress. Essentially he was a secular person, but he was a constitutionalist. What does that mean? He wanted to remain within the confines of Constitution of British and ask for more rights within that. While Gandhi, how he differed from that? Gandhi wanted to involve all the people and make this as a mass movement. Now Jinnah, because of his differences on the issue of mass movement, he left Congress and he went and settled in London doing his practice. It was Muslim League which later approached him and called him to lead their case in front of British. So this is one side of the story. There are some other controversies which are related to the freedom movement and the partition of India. First, I must say that partition of India was a long process. In this long process, I can define 3 major factors which caused the partition of India. The first factor was British policy of divide and rule. British people, they encourage communal forces, Hindu communal forces as well as Muslim communal forces. Now, so this was the major reason, and communal forces which were rooted in the elite people of society, rooted in the upper caste of the society, they, number one, kept aloof from the anti-British movement. Number two, they kept talking about the old traditional societies. So now here of course we will see that with this 3 types of nationalism are coming up. One is a nationalism which is based around Congress, which is based around the values of Bhagat Singh, which is based around the values of Ambedkar. We will talk about this slightly in more detail. Now this was Indian nationalism, in which the major thing was being Indian. Major thing was the problems of the people, problems of Dalits, problems of women, problems of workers, problems of peasants. These were the main focus of Indian nationalist forces. In due course, later on, the demand that we should be a dominion state within the British got changed into the radical demand that we wanted total independence from India. And it was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru who, in his one of the presidential speeches when he became the president of Congress, he was the one to say that Congress will stop short nothing of total independence for the country. Now, as far as partition is concerned, Muslim League started getting alienated, and Lohia, who is one of the major figures of that time, he writes a book on the partition triangle. And in partition triangle, he also blames the Hindu Mahasabha and Hindu nationalist forces for being one of the people responsible for partition of India. According to Lohia, that it was Hindu nationalists who alienated the Muslims, because of which the feeling of separatism went on growing up. So as far as partition is concerned, the first major thing comes in the form of Motilal Nehru Committee report in 1928. Motilal Nehru Committee report, it rejects the demands given by Muslim League. Muslim League basically wanted separation of Sindh from Bombay province. Muslim League wanted 1/3 representation in the assemblies and all the elected bodies, so that if some major changes to be taken, the Hindu majority should not be able to do it. As such, Muslims were 1/4, but Muslim League demanded 1/3 representation for them. It was rejected by Motilal Nehru Committee. Now in 1932, there was a round table conference in which Macdonald, the Prime Minister of England, he came with the communal award. In communal award, he gave separate constituency to Muslims and to Dalits. Now, as far as Muslims are concerned, that demand, of course, Congress accepted. Mahatma Gandhi was the leading figure of Congress. He accepted that, but he was opposed to separate electorate for Dalits. For this, Mahatma Gandhi is very much criticized also, that he betrayed the cause of the Dalits. But the real reason for Mahatma Gandhi not yielding to the demand of separate electorate for Dalits was this, that this will further weaken the freedom movement of India. This will further alienate the Dalits from the majority community, and the type of reforms which Ambedkar envisaged, which Gandhi also supported in some way, they will not be possible. So Gandhi at that time went on fast against this separate electorate for Dalits. Ambedkar in the end yielded to this demand, and in place of separate electorate, there were reserved constituency given to the Dalits. Reserved constituency given to the Dalits, which was slightly more in percentage to the percentage of Dalits in the population. That was the insistence of Gandhi for Pune Pact. Now many Dalits today, many Dalit leaders criticize Pune Pact, but if we see, it was this Pune Pact because of which the reservation for Dalits in different arenas of our life, to begin with the political arena, it began from that particular point. So Gandhi was not for that, mainly because he wanted to keep the freedom movement united. He did not want to weaken the freedom movement. He wanted to take all the communities along with him as far as freedom movement is concerned. Now the second controversy which comes up, which many people try to highlight, that Gandhi did not oppose the hanging of Bhagat Singh, that Pandit Nehru never went and met Bhagat Singh when Bhagat Singh and his comrades were in jail. Now I must say, Gandhi wrote a letter to the Viceroy that Bhagat Singh's death sentence should be commuted and it should not be given. But the Viceroy rejected his demand, and Gandhi did not insist on it. The real reason was as some people try to say, the real reason was that Bhagat Singh's popularity was rising and Gandhi was scared of that. That's a very superficial, narrow, unacceptable approach. Gandhi that time was a mass leader, and even Bhagat Singh looking up to Gandhi as the leader of the freedom movement. The real reason was that Bhagat Singh was given death sentence because of his murder of Saunders. Saunders and Gandhi, in his approach, wanted to base his movement on non-violence, so he did not insist of commuting of death sentence of Bhagat Singh beyond a point. As far as Nehru is concerned, Nehru was very much respected by the revolutionaries, Bhagat Singh and his comrades. They looked up to him as a national leader with socialist leanings, and some people, when he say that Nehru never met Bhagat Singh when he was in jail, they speak a lie, because just before the hanging of Bhagat Singh, when he was on the hunger strike in the jail with his other friends, that time Nehru visited them. Nehru visited them in jail, and this was reported in the Tribune, local Tribune paper published from Lahore, because they were in Lahore jail. This is very well described in that. Now, the third controversy which people try to deliberately raise is that there were differences between Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. This is partly true. Subhash Chandra Bose was a socialist. Subhash Chandra Bose was a part of Congress. Subhash Chandra Bose was elected as a president of Congress in Tripura session of Congress. Why was Gandhi opposed to him? Gandhi was opposed to him mainly because Subhash Chandra Bose did not pay allegiance to the values of non-violence in that particular sense. And the second reason was that Subhash Chandra Bose, who is a great revolutionary in his own capacity, had differences with rest of the Congress about the independence of India. When Second World War broke out, Subhash Chandra Bose felt that we should ally with Japan and Germany to get freedom of India. While majority of Congress, led by Gandhi, they felt that we should have a national movement to throw away the British government.